Self-improvement is the most selfish pursuit that you can take, but it's a necessary pursuit. I know, it sounds weird. It's selfish, right? I mean, just think about it. You're putting in all of this time. You're secluding yourself, really dialing in to making yourself a better person. 100% necessary to build the foundation to succeed in whatever it is that you're doing. You need to learn how to talk to people. You need to learn how to have some confidence. You need to learn how to work out, eat well. You need to learn how to be a leader. But this, just like all other things, comes to an end once you really have a strong grasp on the concept of self-improvement. You don't need to spend your entire life just living in self-improvement. I mean, you can just look online and you can see all these different YouTubers. They kind of go down a rabbit hole to keep people just involved in self-improvement. And they just further elaborate on these concepts that really you need to kind of take upon yourself and start to dive into with your own judgment. There are endless amounts of videos on how to talk to women. I'm sorry, maybe I can't relate to this, but guys, just talk to a woman. They're another human being. It's not like you're speaking a different language. The same thing goes into exercise and training. You can learn all these different techniques and different grips when it comes to something like a pull-up. But at the end of the day, you just need to have a very basic understanding of a pull-up and go into the gym and progressively overload and eat right, and you're going to get results. So then you're probably asking, well, what is the point of it? What comes next? I like to call this phase one. Phase one is learning general self-improvement, the foundational skills that you need to be able to succeed in the world at a very basic level. And then you have phase two. So before I get into phase two, I just want you to think about this question for a little bit. Just think back to how many times you've either asked yourself or you've just seen other people ask themselves, what am I doing here? What is the point to all this? What am I doing with my life? Why do I feel so empty, unfulfilled? Why do I not have any purpose? Guys, the reason why you don't have purpose is because we are spiritual beings living this physical life. This is not the end destination. This is all a test. The test is how selfish or selfless are you going to be during this life? Are you going to be living for yourself this entire life, or are you going to actually wake up and start living for something greater than yourself? Well, how do I know what's greater than myself? Well, just think of the size of you just as a physical being. Think of the size of you and the city that you're in. Think of the size of you and the country that you're in. Think of the size of you and the planet that you're on. We're getting much smaller, right? Now think of the size of you and the entire universe. This is the thing, guys. You are not that large. There is something greater than yourself, and it does not take that much effort to see it. The reason why you have all this unfulfillment, the reason why you have no purpose and it feels like you have no direction is because you're trying to live for yourself. You're in this frame of mind that the world is designed to put you in, that this is all you're focused on. This one life is all that you're focused on. The biggest focus of all of us is, how can I make more money to survive? Inflation is causing the cost of everything to rise. It's harder to get a home. It's harder to even just buy your groceries at the store. So this game, it's all manipulated by man. This game is just to continue to get you to struggle until you decide to release. Well, what am I going to release? When I talk about phase two, after self-improvement, phase two is serving our Creator. Guys, honestly, if you have the arrogance to believe that all of this that we're living in is just by chance, it just randomly happened, do you realize just how many coincidences would have to fall into place just perfectly, exactly perfectly to make this a reality? Impossible. There's absolutely no way. Do you think the gut feelings that you have, the intuition, that's all just coincidental? Do you think the mind that you were given to think creatively, but at the same time think logically, to create things that can improve the entire world at large, do you think that mind was just a random happenstance? I mean, if you just look around, it's very easy to see that this was all created on purpose. There is a reason why when you pray and you fill yourself with the Spirit, you start to feel this sense of peace and wholeness about you. Do you think that is random? It's very clear. It is very clear that there is evil in the world, and it's the responsibility of people like us to defeat that evil. It's a war. Just think about it. When you try to do something good, when you try to do something positive, and it offends a lot of people, when you try to make the place around you a much better place, and people come at you with reasons why it won't work or that you're just wasting your time, this is when you have to lean into it that much more. Because when you're led with conviction that this is the right thing to do, it may not be my favorite thing to do, but I know that this is the right thing to do. There is a reason that you feel that way. So back to the entire point of this video, self-improvement, phase one. Develop the skills to be a leader, to talk to people, to hold yourself to a high standard, to be resilient, and to have some strength when times are bad. It doesn't take long to learn these things. 3 years max. Dedicate the time, immerse yourself into just being a better person. That's all it is just how can I be the best version of myself that I can possibly be? Phase 2, you got to use these skills. You can't spend your whole life just living in self-improvement. Oh, how can I get just a little bit better in working out? Or what if I change this one little thing in my diet? Man, that's what will bring me success. You just need a general idea. And if you do need tweaks along the way, you can easily find the information, but you don't have to be an expert on all of these things. But once you have these skills, you put them to use by serving your creator, by serving God. Now, you might be asking, well, what do I do? What am I supposed to do with that information? You got to seek that information. Just like you did with self-improvement, you got to seek the answer to what you're supposed to be doing on this earth. If you look back in your life, like in the very early days, and just kind of track through all the way up until today, if you pay very close attention, you can see some trends. You can see some things that you did that really led you to this point that you're in right now. For me, I got my first self-improvement book when I was about 7. My dad gave me a book called As a Man Thinketh, and it just taught me that your thoughts create your reality. What you think in your mind, you can expect those types of results in your life. I spent my entire teenage years just learning these concepts of self-improvement. At that young age, after reading that book, I started getting into playing sports, and the entire time I just thought, I just want to be a leader. I want the pressure to be on me. I feel empty when I'm just sitting back on the sidelines, not participating. Taking that with me mentally, I slowly started to put myself in these positions of having some pressure and putting myself in leadership positions. And then into my career, I found myself in some partnerships. The same thing continued to trickle throughout my life. I wanted to be the one who made the tough decisions. I wanted to be the one that was placed in the fire and had to get everyone out. Now, I'm not saying that this is the same path for everyone, but a lot of times this manifests in gut feelings for people. Sometimes they've had this gut feeling that, man, I'm supposed to work with kids. I'm supposed to help develop kids. Maybe that's through teaching. Maybe that's through coaching. Other people, they feel called to help people in medicine. Maybe that's being a doctor. Maybe that's being a nurse. Maybe that's just being someone at the front desk of the hospital that welcomes these people that are in panic. Again, I'm not saying that these paths are sunshine and rainbows the entire time, because they're not. When you follow that intuition that you're given, when you follow your gut and actually pursue work that is meaningful, has purpose, and you can actually serve, although it's tough, you do have this sense of fulfillment that you are doing your job. And then you have the personalities of high performers that just are never satisfied. I fall into this all the time, and it's a very tough battle. You never feel like you're doing just quite enough, but you still keep doing it. You still keep going. And you know subconsciously that I can be doing more. I can be doing something a little bit better. Opportunities open up for you. If you don't ever step into this phase 2 of serving God and doing work that is meaningful, doing work that you're led to do, you're going to have these feelings of something's missing. I'm not quite fulfilled, but I don't know why. The answer I have for you on that is to pray. I'll leave you here with a story of how I discovered that this was the answer to really everything. So I was in my late teens and I had just gotten into college. I had just transferred from a school that I was playing baseball at. I transferred over and I wanted to play football. So I was set to walk onto the football team in a few months. But during that time, I found a guy who became my friend who was training me to get ready for this tryout. Now, one of the first things when I met this guy was that he always talked about God. He said, man, I have done some, pretty bad things that I'm not proud of in my past. But just last year, I found God and my entire life has changed. That is exactly why I'm enrolled in school now. That's why I met you. I feel like all of this is divine. So I kind of latched on to this guy. He was very influential in this time period of me trying to get prepared for this football team. Although he was my friend, I would say he was kind of a spiritual guide for me as well, because he would always be just telling me about scripture. So as we were going through this, we'd be waking up at 5 a.m. and we'd meet at the weight room of our university, and he always had a great attitude. He was ready to hit it hard with me. So during this time, we're about 3 months into training and I'm starting to see some really good progress. I'm getting stronger. I'm getting faster. And we have a 3-day weekend coming up. He says, I'm not going to be here on Monday. I'm going home, spend some time with the family. So I said, cool, man, I'll catch you on Tuesday. So over this weekend, I went home and he did too. And I'm about to head back to school on that Sunday, and I get a call from a mutual friend of ours. He said, man, I have some bad news. And my stomach dropped, and I'm thinking, how bad could it be? And he said, man, Lance was killed in a car accident. And I asked him, are we talking about the same guy? I mean, I just talked to him yesterday. And he said, yeah, man, I can't believe it either. So I sit there really shocked and just honestly not knowing what my next step is going to be. I feel like I've lost my coach here. He taught me so much that I could go on, but there was definitely something missing. And at this time, I didn't really know much about God. I didn't really have a relationship. Yeah, I prayed here and there, but it wasn't a priority for me. So I get back and I drive back to university, and I'm sitting there in the dark and just kind of contemplating. Well, I'm supposed to wake up at 5 a.m. tomorrow and train, and man, I'm nervous. I can't really put it into words. I'm nervous to go. I feel sick about it. It just does not feel right at all, and I break down. I start crying. I'm like, why did this happen? Like, it felt like things were going so well. I was progressing. I had met this great guy who was, mentoring me through this tough process of, trying to, walk onto this football team. But more importantly, he was showing me lessons along the way, something that I could, take and develop on my own. And now he was just gone. So I'm sitting here just crying for about a half hour, and I look over and my eyes are directed to a dusty Bible that was sitting on my bookcase. And I'll be honest, I hadn't opened that thing in a long time. And I just felt this overwhelming conviction to just open it and start reading. It didn't matter where I opened it, just start reading. And I just started reading. I can't really remember exactly what page I was on or what I was reading, but I started to have this sense of peace. I started to feel like things are going to be okay. It may not be fast, it may not be easy, but things are eventually going to be okay. Because what I learned through this process is that no matter how well things are going, or how strong that I think I am, or how much of a leader I think I am, I need to be led. And the only one that I'm going to be led by is God, our creator. So I just really wanted to share this thought that I've had on my mind for a little while now, and I think it's the right time to start talking about this a little bit more, because we are already showing that as a human race we aren't capable of doing the things that need to be done to make this place cohesively better. As humans, we haven't shown that we're capable of doing that. We haven't shown that we're capable of working together towards one common goal, because there is always some corruption, some manipulation, and someone just looking out for themselves. So anyway, guys, if you want to have a conversation, drop a comment below. Let's talk. Otherwise, I'll talk to you soon.